This is our weekly construction update from around the Disneyland Resort. The proper entrance has returned to Little Mermaid. Waiting for Earls. Still, what's going on there? There's a new phase at Tiana's tunnel, and Mount Gracey is gone. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you, but let's go first to the Matterhorn where it's closed, or at least it was, or will be. The Matterhorn has been going through a multi-phase update, not a refurb per se, just doing routine maintenance around the attraction, but it's been closed during the week, and then they'll reopen it on the weekends and then close it again during the week. When we arrived, this was on a Friday, so it was closed in the morning, but then reopened later that day at about 3 p.m. We've got one more rotation of the Matterhorn closures. It's going to be open, or actually it'll be closed by the time you see this report, and then we'll reopen again this coming Friday. But nothing to be alarmed here, just routine maintenance. They're doing the usual stuff that they've been doing for the past couple of years. Duct tape and, bonding strips, trying to keep this attraction going, because that's pretty much what they're limited to. And I sure hope this works, because there's not much else they can do with the Matterhorn. And if something terrible were to happen, it would be soul-crushing for me. Absolutely soul-crushing. Hey, look, there's the monorail. There it is again, right in front of the Matterhorn, just like that. What a sight. You know what? Let's get on the Matterhorn and head to downtown Disney real quick. While we're here waiting for our train to enter the station, let's just take a quick look at the Matterhorn from the monorail platform, and you can see that there's no scaffolding, no visible work being done. It's just routine maintenance type stuff, so that's a good sight to see. Nothing on that mountain there. And we've arrived at downtown Disney, backside of the retail building. Got some trees delivered. Looks like that's going to wind up being just some kind of planter. I was wondering what they're doing here, but they have finally poured the concrete and created that, or used those forms that were there last week. Looks like things are progressing finally on that rear side. And then with Parkside Market, look at all the crew out there on this day. This is the most crew we've seen visible on this side, at least, well, visible anyway. And that's because they have installed the ceiling separating the first floor from the second floor throughout. It's now serviceable, walkable, so you can see a lot of construction crews up there doing all manner of business. They are building Parkside Market before our very eyes. This is so cool. This is the closest we'll ever get. The nearest we'll ever get to a construction site, for sure. And pretty soon, all those, the walls and everything will be closed up, and we won't be able to see what they're doing, kind of like what's happening at those retail buildings as well, and Din Tai Fung. Lots of whooping and hollering on that site. A lot of sawing and cutting and putting things together at Parkside. I'm hoping fall of this year. That's what I'm hoping for, is fall. There's Din Tai Fung. This is taking a great leap forward visually. You can see glass there in that mid-level. They're obviously building the topper to this structure. The finishing touches are being applied. It's no longer just bare steel and scaffold. While those projects are progressing, the Earl of Sandwich is not. The portable temporary structure that they've installed to be the home for Earl of Sandwich while they build a new one, while they tear down what is Earl of Sandwich today, still unoccupied. And I feel like there is something up. And matter of fact, I heard a rumor, I can't remember where, I think it was on social, that Portos, which is supposed to land in this destination here, is trying to get out of the deal. They want to cancel the construction of the new Portos location here at downtown Disney. Presumably because they have concerns about what kind of Portos would be built here vis-a-vis size. Is this big enough? Which I don't know if that's true or not, because I feel like if there was an agreement to build a Portos in downtown Disney, I'm sure there had to be at least one draftsman come up with a schematic of some kind, proof of concept type situation. Just say, hey, here's what's possible. Here's what we can do. Something like that. It's not like they can just suddenly realize that it's not enough space. So while it could answer some questions that we have about Earls, for one, why haven't they started building it yet? Matter of fact, let's go back to the new construction site where I've been watching. We've talked about this in past reports. Nothing is happening in this space. This is where the new Earl of Sandwich is supposed to be built. A 2-story or 3-story building is supposed to be constructed here. There are blueprints and everything for that. Where is it? They haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet, as far as I can tell. Which, by the way, I can tell because we did happen to sneak a camera back there And we're going to talk about what's in the frame there on the left in a minute. But this is that site. You can see the shade structure right there. That's actually going to be bag check. That's a bag check that they're building there. Not just a shade structure, but that's the entrance from that parking lot, you know, that for Grand Californian and for Pixar Place. But there's the site right there. That's where they're supposed to be building Earl's, and nothing is happening here. So I have to, you know, I'm wondering why that is. And it could be because they're waiting for Portos to make up their mind. It would answer that question, because it seems like if you're going to build a portable building like they did for Earl's, or install that with the idea that you're going to tear down what used to be La Brea Bakery, something needs to be happening here. But I want to, real quick, before we continue, I want to look at, as I mentioned, that looks to be some kind of bag check. And I believe that to be the case just because of the way that this space has been organized, what's in frame. It's hard to get the camera moving around in here, so that I got the best shot I could. But this looks like lanes. These are lanes being set up. And I would be willing to bet that that's more than just a security guard going through your bag. This could be a new phase, a new mode of security screening. That's what it looks like to me. That vertical steel there, those aren't just steel. I feel like they have purpose. We're going to come back here in a little bit and see how this develops. But if I see anything here besides a table, because that's currently bag check is just a table. If I see anything more than that, well, and then obviously the metal detectors, but those are portable. Those aren't installed. Those aren't built in. Those are portable. For now, we can arrive at the Esplanade to see that the Pixar Fest installation, I don't know how to describe this, because I want to call it a mobile, but it's not, because it doesn't actually move. It's not kinetic at all. It's fixed, but it's been installed. Looks okay, actually. It's kind of a fun picture up, and it looks okay. It makes me love Pixar. I like it. So that's now available. I guess Pixar Fest is up and running. We should hopefully have had a video out already by the time you see this of our opening day Pixar Fest journeys. Hope you guys can watch that. But that is out and about for guests to take pictures with. Before going to Disneyland, though, we're going to jump in real quick to Ariel's Undersea Adventure, where last week we reported that the scanners were installed, the Lightning Lane scanners were installed. This week they are operational. That area is closed now. Guests are not entering through that cast member gate. They are now entering through the proper entrance. Huzzah! This is great news. They've also installed 2 new digital standby wait, a standby wait time digital display, and then another one for the current time. As guest standby enters on the left, those are the scanners for Lightning Lane on the right, themed to Little Mermaid, all done. Matter of fact, we're just going to go ahead and enter this queue and see how things go, because I have to admit, as much as I hate this and everything, I did feel a sense of relief and gratitude that they have been able to figure this out, that they did this. I don't like Lightning Lane, but I am glad. It feels good to enter in the proper way and use this queue as intended. As it happens, on this day, we didn't get to use very much of it. This is opening day of Pixar Fest, by the way, and it's right in the middle of the day. Hey guys, it's right in the middle of the day. It's like I want to say maybe 4 o'clock. We had just seen the parade, I think, and it was a 15-minute wait posted, and the back of the queue was right here. Huh? Right? And actually, it wasn't even 15 minutes. All in, it took us about 5 minutes to get through this queue, as Little Mermaid should be, right? I just wish they could do the same for Pirates. And then there is standby entering on the left there again as we enter the door, and they would pause us here. I almost got paused here. If there were any Lightning Lane coming in, they would pause us at the door and let those Lightning Lane guests go in. So there you go. Little Mermaid is back to its old self, but now with Genie Plus. Now we'll go to Disneyland and stop at City Hall first to show that the scrim is still up. What? Why is this taking so long? I want this to be finished. I want to see how pretty everything looks at City Hall. Scrim is still up at City Hall, but the dirt has been replaced. As promised last week, we saw a sign out here that said that, plants will be coming. Don't panic. And the plants have in fact arrived. The Pixar Fest display here at the top of Town Square is now complete with the appropriate amount of foliage and lovely colors. I was actually expecting something a little different, something a little bit more elaborate, but this is, but this should be this way, in my opinion, for Town Square. Town Square should be a little bit more modest, which is one of the reasons why I don't like that Pixar Fest, because it's not modest. That display is not modest. People were questioning why I didn't like it. That's why. that's just not the personality of Town Square, in my opinion. These walls are still up in the entrance to Adventureland. It's a connected situation with what they're still working on for, gosh, what, 6 months now, at least. The restrooms and the plumbing there. We were on our way to Adventureland Treehouse to film Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and I noticed, look at this. We just got done reporting. Do they watch this show? Because we just got done reporting that the buckets are still not working. It's as if somebody said, oh, we forgot to turn them on. Because the next week we're here and the buckets are operational, filled with water and moving things about in the way that they should. So interesting, don't you think? That was, that happened just like that? There it is. Yeah, buckets full of water. Delightful. Now, let's look at Tiana's Bayou Adventure and see what's happening at the top of the hill, salt mine. And things are progressing to the point where we're not able to spot a lot of activity from the treehouse anymore. I mean, the scaffolding is still up, but so much of the foliage that has been added to the mountain hill salt mine that it's looking complete in a lot of different ways. Did find one construction worker there. Oh, he's running an extension cord. Okay. They still have work to do, but there's not a lot else that they need to do here. It's just adding a little bit more of the greenery. The lift barn, it looks like they've got some copper or brass adornments to the roof there, but they're still not done with that. Still waiting for the next layer for the roof, the tiles, etc. But otherwise, things look pretty steady on the top part of the mountain. On our way down, I wanted to check in on the Haunted Mansion Magnolia Park area. This is the space in between Tiana's Palace and the Haunted Mansion queue. And if I'm not mistaken, Mount Gracey is gone. They have redistributed all of the dirt, I think, from Mount Gracey. Yeah, there you go. There's the buckets again. Nice to see those things operational in my field of view here. Still can't tell. Still not positive what the next step is or what they're currently working on. It's still, that dirt phase is always one of the more elusive phases of construction for me. But at least we're not building more dirt. At least I feel like they've stopped digging. The holes are still there, which we'll see in a minute. The holes are still there to some extent. But that phase is over. I'm just trying to, you can see some fall protection rails there in the back. Some netting for, again, that's fall protection, or just a visual identifier saying here's a thing that we're working on. Now that Mount Gracey's, well, that's it. That's what's left of Mount Gracey right there, that little hill. But now that Mount Gracey's gone, we can see a little bit. I'm leaning out. This is from the steps to the train station. I'm leaning out over, trying to see what I can see with my camera. It's quite a sight if you ever see me doing this. It's very precarious, but that's the best view I've seen of this space ever, over the wall. This close and into the Magnolia Garden space. Still can't tell what they're doing, but now that the mountain is gone, we can kind of, it's the best look that we've seen so far. I'm going to come back here next week and hopefully start finding something forward, something, positive and interesting to look at and say, look, that's going to be something wonderful. And I have every confidence that we will find that. We're going to get on the Mark Twain next to see what we can see. And clearly, this is, the best view we've seen now of the lack of Mount Gracey. That's clean. You can see all the way to the fence back there that separates the garden from the Disneyland Railroad. We'll pan right and look at the exit. Nothing remarkable here. A lot of construction crews, though, and hopefully we'll be able to see this, a lot of hard hats, along the fence line. They're working very close to the fence line, which is about where the red brick planters were that separated the Haunted Mansion queue space from the walkways. A lot of guys working in that area. There's two of them there. And now we'll pan left. There's the where that green scrim is. That's pretty much the pet cemetery. And I think that's where the trench that they built in that part of the queue is still there. Dug is still there. The machines, etc., kind of block the view. But you can kind of get an idea. It looks to me like the bottom of that scrim could be ground level, although that could also be what you're seeing here. That 2 feet of dirt could be the planter. You know, that's about how big the brick wall was that separated the guest queue that they walked on from the pet cemetery. But in either case, they have a lot to repair and restore there. By the way, you can also see back in the corner behind the brick wall that fall protection fence that they installed is still there, which means presumably that there's a giant hole on the other side of that brick wall still. Don't need fall protection if there's nothing to fall into. Am I right? So it's not like they've finished that part, but they're on their way to that. And there again, you can see a lot of those stakes, etc. They're getting ready to define space. You can see that's been dug out. There's definitely trench back there. Dug out spaces along here. That's in the courtyard now. But underneath that tractor, that right there, that's all mostly below grade. So they have a, oh my gosh, that is deep still. That is still very, very deep. They still have a little ways to go on that. Keep going on the Mark Twain just to get a long view of Tiana's from here. We can see the trees look to be done, actually. Those 2 trees, the newly installed fake trees that they've put in, look to be free of scaffolding. We'll get another view of that in a minute. Moving forward, they've added more of that green surface to the concrete, to that turnaround area where the boats go by. The boats will pass to its right, and then hopefully on the left they'll add more water to create a bayou or swamp effect there. That should look nice, I hope. It's not going to be quite as involved as we mentioned last week, not quite as elaborate as they do at Magic Kingdom, because they just don't have the acreage, the space to do that. Back at the ground, taking a quick peek at the Haunted Mansion. That's the exit, the crypt exit. Try to see if we can't get another look. And there, yeah, there's the train station. That's the queue. That's the New Orleans Square train station queue space where all the benches are, etc. Where guests wait. You can see the fence and everything. It doesn't look like they've actually done anything to that, so that's good. Although I do see they've covered it. There's a plastic wrap and tape covering the sign that shows, you know, the Disneyland Railroad sign. So it looks like they are trying to preserve that as much as possible. We got a digger here moving dirt. So I don't know if he's digging. No, he's not digging. I think he's just moving dirt. But that's it, right? There's just that little bit of hill back there. And where they're at right now is the other side of that is Princess Tiana's palace. Here's our current look at what's happening on the opposite side of the path heading into Critter Country, where I predict we're going to see some kind of critter there in the near future. And as I mentioned when we were on the Mark Twain, these trees, that looks done to me. I feel like they have completed that tree. There would be still, you know, scaffolding up, etc. around it. So the fact that that's gone, I do think we have a finished product here. Let's get a closer look. Lots of moss, leaves, etc. The tree looks great. Very tall, very full. Handmade. That's fantastic. That is great. And there was the 2 in that frame to the right, and then here's another one coming into frame on the left. Did find some more construction crew here. It looks like they're working on adding foliage to certain aspects, certain parts of the mountainside. They're not going to cover it completely. There will still be mountainous textures there. What kind of tool is that? I can't tell. Can I? Yeah, let's get closer. It looked like a cutter. You know what? Whatever. It's great. Getting to watch them do this. This is great. I didn't notice this in previous updates, but that looks to be like some kind of new rock structure that they've created this outcropping of mountain there. And you can see the drop is going to pass, well, not under it directly, but it's going to pass very near to it. I wonder how much they're going to address that new space there. If that's going to affect, or if that's going to be part of the show, part of the experience of dropping down that hill. But that is definitely new. Let's see if we can't see anything at the top of the drop. Last couple of weeks we've seen a light up there, but there is no light today, so we can't see anything. I see an Imagineer helmet though. That's an Imagineer. So they're not building, they're trying to figure something out. Here's the entrance. No progress here at all. I keep waiting. I have noted though, Tiana's tunnel. Look at that's mesh. They've added another layer on top of the purple sheathing, and then on top of that layer, they're adding mesh, which means this is going to become like a rock work. They're going to add a rock work surface or a rock or mountain like surface to, I'm guessing, to this mountain to help close this off and to finish the illusion. That's a door. He's just that's cool. Not quite a door, but like it was like it's in sections that can open and close. There's some steel there. Presumably that's for electric. And why they need electric is a good question. Obviously, they're probably going to do some sort of projection, perhaps, on the inside of that. I do wonder, though, how are they going to finish that section where they cut out the log and the rock right there? How are they going to close that? Not that they can't build more log or rock, but that's steel. They've installed a piece of steel right in between. So I'm just curious how they're going to finish that illusion with that piece of steel there in the way. Last week we noted these tiles and another layer, a surface layer for the rooftops of these structures, and we did confirm that those are tiles for the roofs. Nothing has been added here to the entrance barn. They haven't started that phase yet. I don't see anything added yet to the little owl or whatever, the house up here for the old ride photo barn. But I did note it does look like they've added the tiles here to the top, the tippy top of the entrance barn. So I would say probably next week we'll see more of that throughout the backside of the mountain. And with that, we'll wrap with a quick update on ride closures happening around the park. We spoke earlier about the Matterhorn. Closed today through May 2nd. It'll reopen on May 3rd and probably late in the afternoon on that Friday, May 3rd. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is closed. You can go into the building, but the actual show, Great Moments, is closed. I thought this closure was to take down the 100th, but that does not appear to be the case. The 100th displays are being untouched. Everything in there is, you can still go see the Capitol. You can look at all the the displays inside. The only thing that's closing is the actual show, which tells me that they're doing updates to the actual show. Closed today, and for an still indeterminate amount of time. We know at least until June 8th. That's as far into the future as we can see on the refurb calendar. Critter Country is closing on May 1st. All of it. Well, actually, most all of it. Obviously, Splash Mountain, Pooh Corner, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Briar Patch, all that'll be closed. Again, indeterminate amount of time. We can only see until June 8th into the future. One thing that is not included on this is Hungry Bear. Hungry Bear looks to be remaining open. You can still go to Hungry Bear while Critter Country is closed. The Columbia is going down for refurb on May 13th. We know that it just came out of refurb and now it's going back in, but this is not to fix the ship, I'm sure. It is to get it ready for Fantasmic. It's closing on May 13th and will reopen on May 24th, which happens to be the first day of Fantasmic. So they're probably getting the boat ready, all the rigging and the wiring and all that stuff ready for the stunt show that happens on that boat. So that's exciting. That's very, very exciting. We're so close. We're less than a month away from seeing Fantasmic again on the rivers of America. Over at DCA, as has been the case for a while, Redwood Creek is closed now and for a still indeterminate amount of time. The bakery tour is closed. The Bodine Bakery tour is closed, and that is scheduled to reopen on June 2nd. No truth to the rumor, you guys, that they are putting Avatar in the Bodine Bakery tour. It's going to remain the Bodine Bakery tour when it reopens on June 2nd. Cocina Cucamonga is closing, or will be closed, on April 29th for quite a while, actually, nearly a month. It'll reopen on May 25th. So that's about 4 weeks that Cocina will be closed. I do not know as of yet what that closure is for. And that's it. A pretty light schedule for ride closures, if you ask me, aside from the the usual suspects, Haunted Mansion and Splash Mountain, aka Tianas Bayou Adventure. And that's it for our show this week. Thanks again for watching, everybody. If you like this show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. You can follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another.